Alrighty, welcome to this edition of Admission of Thought. With me today is my partner in crime here, Carl.
I'm ready to think.
And Kurt is here. That's me, you know.
Right on.
So we're talking today a little bit about the topic of value and significance. And as broad of a topic as it is,
And I'm sure we'll get lost in the weeds somewhere along the way as well. So
there tends to be some tangents, some derailments of the train of thought.
hell yeah.
So value and significance is talking particularly in regards to how much we value ourselves and how significant it is to value ourselves. But I think it also relates to how much do we value in our relationships, our objects, our material items.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and how significant they are to us. So I wanted to start it off and just kind of keep it from a general perspective, Carl. I mean, like, what is something that you value, or what does it mean to value yourself or value others? Any of those particularly?
I was thinking earlier today about, what I value the most and what's more valuable than just being happy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's like the big one. Is that what you're saying? To be happy, that's what you value?
I was just thinking about, what do I value the most? Like, I want to be happy and I want the people around me to be happy too.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you there. I would say that think because of at least the mindset I'm in today is a little bit like there are pieces to it though. So my mind is kind of racing today in a good way where I'm like, yeah, I want to be happy and I want other people to be happy and I want the world to be happy and I just want everything to be happy, right? Which is great. Although I think there are so many pieces that go into making you, yourself, the world, other people happy, and I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, what makes one person happy could make 2 million people miserable or die or something. You don't know. Like, yeah. There's strings attached to this. Yeah, you're right. Totally. So it's like, well, you have to think about what perspective you're coming from.
Agreed. Yeah.
Who's experiencing the happiness and who's affected by it. But in terms of value, I mean, what's more valuable than enjoying your life? More than objects, more than your ego being jerked off by people praising you or something. I'm just trying to think of things that people...
An egasm.
Perfect.
Is that what
did you just make that up?
Egogasm.
Right on.
I think that's the one on the spot.
Right on. But what... Like I feel like everyone's looking for a way to be happy.
And for it to be significant. And for themselves to be significant, I guess, then?
I feel like significance kind of goes into... Well, what do you mean by significance?
What's coming up for me, when you tie it in with value, I'm thinking to myself, for us to have value, for us to have self-valuing, and in particular for us to have value in the world or to produce value, I think makes it, in a sense, significant, or we're looking to make ourselves significant in some way.
That's part of that. What did you say? Egasm?
I think I like
egogasm.
I like egogasm. It kind of gives me a Ghostbusters vibe for some reason. But yeah,
what's the point of? I mean, to be significant, does that mean significant in the eyes of other people?
That's the question I think I'm looking to unravel with this topic. Is it that we're trying to be significant to others? Is it important for us to know that ourselves are going to be significant? How do we define our own value and determine whether we're significant or not? Is it based on how many likes we have? Is it based on how much time we spend with our friends and family? Is it, if I finally learn how to meditate the right way, if there is a right way?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is there's so many different layers and specific characteristics that I'm trying to extrapolate what exactly, if someone were to try to figure out, I know what Kurt and Carl are talking about tonight. I want to figure out what value is, or I want to figure out how to value myself and what makes that so significant. And I'm not going to, trigger warning, I'm not making the claim or promise that we're going to do that.
Hell no, we're not.
No.
But maybe we will. I don't know.
Maybe
tune in and find out.
But give you all, yeah, exactly. So hopefully we'll give some other people as well as ourselves.
Oh, we definitely will. Watch to the end and we will unravel the mystery, ladies and gentlemen, right here tonight, live. This is not live.
Value and significance.
Yeah. Here's a dilemma for you.
Yeah.
It kind of goes along with that. I've been thinking about the music I've been creating lately.
Okay.
I was jamming my own music in the car with headphones while I'm driving.
Oh, wow.
Living life on the edge.
Questionable.
But that's not important. But I thought of this, and I didn't think it would come up tonight, but I'm going to run it past you. Okay, so I was thinking about the stuff that I'm creating, and it is giving me happiness.
Okay.
And that, to me, is valuable.
All right.
So that's awesome. But at the same time, I do have this drive for... Like, it makes me happy when someone recognizes me for what I've created or, like, enjoys the music I create.
Sure, absolutely.
So... Here, oh man, this is gonna be hard to vocalize. Is that desire to have more people listen to what I'm creating hindering me from fully appreciating and
embracing,
enjoying what I'm creating, or is it pushing me to be better and to make better things, which is actually making me happier? Because I'm not getting complacent, because I do want people to enjoy what I'm creating.
That's a formidable question, I think. I don't know if I have the answer, but I mean, when you started to describe it, it kind of sounded like I was trying to remember what the quadratic formula is, and I can't say I can do that anymore. And that's the formula of, like, do more people wanting to hear and liking what I'm talking about or what I'm making, is that going to push and drive me further?
Is it fuel?
Is it fuel? Yes. And how often do we need to refill? Maybe is the question to ask there. Is like, are you looking for, every time you make a song, are you trying to push yourself? It's got to be perfect. It's got to be exactly how it should be. And I'm going to spend literally, 100 hours creating this one song. Or is it more important for you to spend, 100 hours and create 10 songs?
So is it fuel for creating better things, or is it a weight tied to your back keeping you from fully enjoying what you're doing? That's what I'm asking. That's the perfect way to fucking put it, if that makes sense.
It does. I think for me, when it comes to value and significance, and when I'm trying to balance out my wants and needs just overall in life, professional and personally, which I'm coming to learn more and more are very blended, which I never thought they were, or as I thought I could separate them, I should say. But when you start to consider if it's going to be a weight on your back or if it's going to be something that's fueling you, I think it's depending on how you're spending your time. Are you thinking about it on your days off because you're like, oh, God damn, I'm so pumped to work on this. I want to make more. Oh, I heard this one sound. I think this happened to me actually today. I was flipping through the FM1 and FM2 and it brought me to AM, and it just made this like weird noise as I hit quick, and I was like, oh, I gotta go back to that. I went back to
staticky fucking...
It was a staticky, but it had like this electronic, like someone was holding a button down.
Like it like halfway tuned into a radio station, so you got some like something kind of like, shit, yeah, but like within the static.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I should capture this. Like if you've seen the movie Baby Driver, that just came out recently, he likes to hear a sound or a statement from someone and tries to turn it into his own little song he makes. And I was like, cool. I could totally do that. That's a cool little sound. So if you find yourself driving in the car, or if you find yourself thinking out throughout your day at work or in your spare time, I'm like, God, I could do this, and this with my podcast, with my music, with, whatever else, your art, whatever form or shape of your hobby or how you spend your spare time, thing that creates value and significance in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think it's fuel. If it becomes to the point where you're feeling more anxious about it, or you're feeling, I don't know, kind of more concerned.
Yeah, like you're dwelling over the fact that like not enough people like this, Yeah,
not only that, but also the yeah, you know what, I'm with you there. Are people going to like this? Also, is this even going to be good? Do I have what it takes?
And good from the perspective of other listeners, not good from yourself. Just being proud of what you made, which is like a dangerous game to play, because like you could be making some shit music that sucks and then people don't listen to it. But hey, if it's going to make you happy at the end of the day, keep fucking doing it. But at the same time, people's reactions kind of help mold you into a better musician, I think, too, you know.
Sure, if you're just stuck in your basement listening to music over and over, and you never come out, and you come out and say you have this beautiful record and you never got any other opinion on it, I mean, if it turns out to be really that good, I don't, that's awesome, but I highly doubt that unless you've had a significant amount of experience making music. Like, you know, it's been decades and you're considered one of the best of the best, maybe then, but I still think everybody has somebody in their corner that's helping them figure out or refine or tune out.
You never know, though. There could be like some fucking gem musicians that have just never gotten the opportunity to like throw down like in a real studio or something, that just kind of like jammed out in their basement with just some groundbreaking fucking music that we'll never hear because they never recorded it. You know, like back in the 50s or something, some guy sitting up in the mountains with a guitar.
I think you're right.
It's possible. I don't know.
The part of me that thinks about like history and the way things have matched out, I would almost agree and say that's probably actually happened already.
Honestly, like statistically, it has to have happened. That has to have existed, you know?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Some guy that's just, or woman or whatever, that's just good fucking, and just doesn't care who hears it. In any kind of, not just music, it could be anything. Like, people like with some very profound thoughts, they could be like the best philosopher of all fucking time, but they never wrote down any of their thoughts. They were just up there like raking hay and fucking like raising goats or some shit, and they're just happy, to just have those thoughts to themselves. But fuck you, mountain person.
So you're right, though. That becomes the question, and like I guess we're trying to figure out, especially in at least growing up and living in the United States in a modern country, how people define that as, is that where does the line be drawn where we can either determine whether we want to pursue something like that as a profession or to take it as more serious, if you will, or to gain more followers, because that's in fact a lot of the way how people are discovered nowadays. You know, they use platforms like YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter to get themselves really big. YouTube was the one who kind of sensationalized this, at least from the internet standpoint, whereas previously you'd have to have a really good manager or someone who marketed for you, whatever. I couldn't even tell you what marketing looked like, you know, before the internet, because I'm a millennial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, billboards, I guess.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Billboards.
Flyers,
milk cartons, you know? But
TV commercials. Who the fuck watches TV anymore? Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I always skip the ad after 5 seconds, right? Who really watches those? But, yeah, I think it's, where does the line draw? And I think that line is kind of drawn, this is my personal opinion here, to create value and significance in your own life and how to really take it to another level where it's not just the mountain man or woman or just person, I should say. If that's what you want to do, that's great, that's exciting. But if you really, I think there has to be a part of someone that wants a little bit of fame.
Is that like a Western, like capitalism kind of thing? Like, oh, I've got this awesome gift and I don't need to just enjoy it for myself. I need to make some fucking money off this.
I really think it is I don't know if it's just like
there's probably something to that.
I know it. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying there's probably something to that.
I think there is something to that. I think, at least for me as well, if you consider like even just doing the podcast right now, or like, you know, I write poetry from now and then. Everyone who has some level of dedication or focus towards any kind of hobby, I'm going to go ahead and say if you have some level of investment, or if it's significant to you, that you're probably going to think at one point like, wow, I wonder if I could take this seriously. Like, can I publish a book on poetry? Will people want to read my poetry?
Right. And is that what's driving you to actually do it, or are you just like, I want to create this, so I'm going to create it, and I don't care who fucking reads it?
I think it starts off with the latter. That it starts off being that you just want to create it.
Well, maybe for you, it's probably a case-by-case basis.
I guess that's true.
Because like Biggie Smalls, if you listen to fucking interviews with Biggie Smalls, he's like, I don't give a fuck. They're like, who are your influences? He's like, I don't fucking have any influences. I'm just trying to get paid.
Really?
There's like an interview that's just like he almost says that exactly, and the interviewer's just kind of like, okay.
So how did you first get started? Who influenced you?
Ain't nobody really influenced me, you know what I'm saying? I was just tired of being on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Had to get up off that, you know?
I see.
Just moves on. It's like, what the fuck? He's one of the best rappers of all fucking time.
And he
Dude,
just wanted
Ready to
get-
Die is an amazing fucking album, and he just wanted to make some money. He at least said that. I mean, that might have been his ego. Like, if I say this, people, I've been thinking lately that
Go.
I think that when artists talk about their art,
Yeah.
that's part of the art. The way they describe their art is almost like part of the performance.
Really.
Totally.
It's part of the performance. Okay, I'm visualizing this.
Like,
a
they're
little
almost
more.
like in character when they're speaking about what they create.
So it's almost like they go into character.
Right.
See, I feel like that almost dips into, without getting too sidetracked here, that talks a little bit about like getting in the flow state or kind of losing yourself. We're going to mention rappers like trying to lose yourself in the moment and finding that energy. It's almost like a muscle memory, but instead of it being primarily muscle based, without getting too specific here, it's like an artist memory. What would you call that?
Artist instinct or something.
Artist instinct, where it just kind of kicks in and we kind of put these masks on that help I don't know.
Artist mode. Because, like, dude, performers are performers.
Yeah.
They perform.
There's a really good, I don't know if it's a good song or not, but if anyone's familiar with the song Applause by Lady Gaga, actually.
I may have heard it. I don't know.
I mean, the song is, the whole song's about how she plays for the applause. I play for the, like, that's what it really goes for. And it's a really interesting look at the fact, I mean, it's silly to mention a Lady Gaga song necessarily to cover a topic of value and significance, but it relates to, like, Biggie Smalls. Clearly money was his primary motivator, or at least in character or in his artist mode or in the flow state, whatever it was, he was claiming that that's what his motivator was.
Right.
Where I don't know if this is true or not anymore for Lady Gaga, but like at one point, the applause, the praise, the actual, she got gratification and justification and gained value from the applause she got from
felt
people.
significant.
And you know what's interesting though is could it be, is it the quantity of applause, or is it the quality? I guess you could say. Is it different if she's here in a playing the Super Bowl halftime show, or if she's at an open mic in a rural random area?
There's something to that for sure. Because, like, if you're playing your music and a bunch of, like, fucking toddlers are just dancing for it.
That's
versus,
a sight.
like,
Hang on a second. That's a sight. I'm picturing toddlers just like dancing to music. Like that's
to Lady Gaga. Or
yeah,
Biggie
I don't
Smalls.
know. I'm getting like a
Well, I've got a niece and she's like toddler age.
Sure.
And she puts on music and she starts dancing.
They just
she
like-
doesn't just like I mean they can't
arms
see.
kinda going back and
just
forth.
like waddling, but she's like smiling. She's fucking dancing. But
you were saying though.
yeah, so I don't think it really matters what you put on. In fact, I'm going to bring my guitar over to my brother's house and see what she does if I play different kinds of music. We're going to do a little experiment on you.
Yeah, you
We're
are.
going to do a little experiment on you, Millie. You can listen to this in 20 years or something and call me a psychopath. But
Sociopath.
whatever.
I don't know.
But
Going back to the applause part, or just the level of praise, significance that we gain from our work, if we want to call it work, I guess, since it's not necessarily work, but it's like our hobby or how we spend time.
it's your passion, maybe.
Yeah, whether you're playing for a small crowd in a club or you're playing at a huge venue, I mean, for you, Carl, I guess, since you make some more music recently, I mean, where does the line draw for you when it comes to finding value in your work?
That's what I'm searching for. That's like the dilemma I dropped on you. But yeah, I mean, like I haven't played like huge venues or anything, but it's all about the energy. Like
Okay.
if the crowd is feeling it and it's like 10 people, it'll be way more fun than like 100 people are there and no one gives a fuck about who you are. Like you actually feel good getting up. It just feels good to entertain somebody, for me at least. And I think-
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sure, I could say that. I mean, even just trying to relate to something a little more, for me personally, I don't make music, but I guess that like I occasionally will write a poem, so if I were to read that to you, or if I were to read that to a small group of people, I would enjoy it a lot. In fact, I would gain a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I wouldn't, when you mentioned earlier, like, is it something that's Western or capitalistic? I think we kind of all have to have our own like little grind aside from our main grind to some extent. So I think we try to like juice and squeeze out everything we can out of our little hobbies and interests, because I think we're continuously fed that we need to pick a career, that it's a career, it's not a job. I want to find a career. You know what I mean? Which is totally
something separate from what makes you happy, that will like put food on the table.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think it's the opposite. I think a lot more people are told that they should find something that puts food on the table and also makes them happy. Whereas that's awesome, but at the same time, if you only have a few things that make you happy and your main grind isn't really bringing in the dough that you
Profitable,
need. Yeah, so then you need to try to make profit off your second or third one. So if you have 3 major things in your life that make you happy and they're all become based around money, I don't know, for me that would kind of decrease the value of it a little bit and take away some of the significance, because now instead of doing it out of just raw artist mode or raw curiosity and expression, now I'm doing it to try to, like, I don't know, like I said before, orange juice is good, you know, I'll eat an orange by itself, but squeezing the juice out of it still tastes pretty good.
Dude, I totally had a conversation. We were playing with a band in Boston called the Union Boys. They're really good, but we were sitting hanging out with them before the show because we went there early to hang out with them before, and we were all sitting around drinking or eating or something in their backyard, and I said something. I went a little too far with like what I was the point I was trying to make. I was like, dude, I wouldn't even want to make it, because then what would I be striving to do? Like, isn't it more fun, like one of those like stereotypical, like, it's about the journey, man, you know? But like, seriously, if you a good way to put it is like this, like so like when you want to play music for someone and you play show after show and they suck, I mean, it feels so good when you finally play one and people give a fuck about you. You know, it's the same. I'll equate it to video games. Like, a video game is fun because it's challenging. Like, if you popped in a video game and all you had to do was hold A and you're just sitting there just fucking scoring points, and it was just like, dude, you're awesome. Like, it's like the game is blowing you virtually. Like, that wouldn't be fun.
No, I don't think it would be.
Like, the struggle makes it fun. Like,
but when does the struggle become too much then, I guess? Or is that just more too much of a 21st century realm of thought?
It's like a seesaw, man. There's like the weight of the struggle, and then there's like the value you gain from defeating the struggle. Okay. And for some people, the struggle is too heavy, and they're up in the air the whole time,
and they drop out. But for you right now, you're kind of saying that a part of you wouldn't really want to make it big, because
it's like, I know what I'm doing. It like adds structure to my life.
What does?
Just the drive to entertain people, you know.
So when the drive is gone, that reduces some significance, actually. So getting actually accomplishing your journey or getting to the top of the mountain is not exactly like actually getting to the top of the mountain isn't really what you want. It's the journey of it. It's fun to idealize and to focus on getting there.
Well, it's fun to approach it. And then you climb to the top of it, and I feel like, I don't know, because I've never been to the top of the mountain, I've never been successful or anything, but it seems like a lot of people get there, and then they lose their fucking minds. Like, how many child stars are doing all right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they're very young, and then they're like, oh my god, I'm famous and rich now. And then it's like, hey, heroin seems cool. I don't know. Like, I'm generalizing, but dude, come on.
To be fair, you're saying that they all of a sudden, they're like, we're looking for the next high, and I think...
And what the fuck do they have to strive for? This is like some fucking like half-baked theory of mine. This is not well thought out. I'm sure people can rip this to shreds, but seriously though, no, I mean, there's something to it.
I think there is something to it. And I think it's just a matter of when you get to the top of the mountain, whatever that first mountain or molehill is then you begin your journey onto something else new. I remember reading a lot of stuff that's coming up for me. From this really good book I read called Geography of Bliss by Eric Weiner, and he traveled the world in search of happiness, and not just like, that doesn't sound like someone's Instagram post, right? He actually made it into a book, and what he did was he went around and tried to touch base and I think it was 10 different countries, and he tried to find what countries were the happiest and which ones weren't. And he actually visited them and stayed there and tried to get engulfed into their culture, and had some, pretty wacky experiences, if you will, or some kind of scary ones at times. And it was all in this search to find out what exactly makes someone happy. And I won't share the ending or what he determined, but I will say that it relates to what Viktor Frankl talks about a lot, what you're talking about, Carl, right now. What a lot of people see is that it's the to be happy, or to pursue happiness, would almost defy the concept of being happy. I think we should pursue it, but to actively work to be happy, to say every day when you wake up, I want to be happy. I think eventually it might help for someone who doesn't have much self-worth, or someone who doesn't have very high self-esteem, but eventually I think it would hit someone, whether it's even that person who, is struggling really hard with depression and has a negative self-image, to the person who's been a star since they were a child, that we'll all reach this plateau point, and we'll have to kind of we'll have to stop telling ourselves, I think, as often, that I want to be happy, because if you're pursuing it just to reach happiness, I think you're missing the point of being happy.
Well, if you're doing something and you put your end goal in the frame of what you're trying to do, you might not necessarily reach that. You need to just do things because you enjoy doing them. You don't need to be well, I'll do this and then I will achieve happiness. We're not fucking, it's not a formula.
No.
It's
some people want it to be, and some people actually might even say.
Though. It's not, though. Just shut up. Just stop trying to fucking think of it that way, because that's not going to work for you.
Oh, goodness. How about this? I'll throw this out there. When we're talking about value and significance, there's I just looked up the actual definition, and when I say actual, I'm just saying what, once again, the internet tells me. So
that's where reality is
based.
That's just where it is.
Yeah. So self I can't say that. Self-worth. It sounds so
self-worth. Yeah.
Self-worth.
You said it right.
Okay. Is a person's ability to achieve. It's actually a self-worth theory, saying that a person's ability to achieve is directly linked to their perceptions of themselves, is what it's claiming.
One more time.
I'm going to say it again, because it's a mouthful. So
it's
a person's ability to achieve, whatever achieve is directly linked to their perceptions of themselves.
Ability to achieve what?
Well, so that's
anything.
That's kind of.
So you're only capable of as much as you feel like you're worth.
Yeah, I think that's what it's talking about.
Okay, yeah. The second time, I had to fucking hear it again.
You're right. So it's saying that it can be difficult to predict. I mean, I guess the question that comes up is, it's difficult to predict whether someone will choose to learn or complete some challenging task or whatever it may be.
If they feel like they're capable of it?
Yes, or to find a reason to... I guess
if you don't think you're capable of doing something, you're not going to be able to do it. We narrow our fucking capabilities by saying, if you say, I could never do that, then you won't.
Agreed. Do you think you could still...
You're making it impossible. You're putting yourself in a fucking box. You're just dropping all... You're putting yourself on a cliff or a bridge or something instead of an open field. You're oh, well, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, and it just gets it gets more and more narrow the more you live and the more you fucking box yourself in like that. You need to... I mean, there's obviously some things you could never do because they're just physically impossible or whatever. But
no, I can fly.
Okay, well, we're on the third floor, right?
Yeah, we are. We can test it out.
Let's try it live. No.
The radio signal.
No Kurtz were harmed during the recording of this podcast.
Oh goodness. So you're a firm believer in the self-worth theory then? That you...
It seems to make sense, at least. I mean, not maybe... I mean, I'm someone that has thought, and I've said it before on the podcast, that I'm literally going to die before the day is done when I've got something coming up because I have severe anxiety issues. And then that's just the poison of a mental illness telling me what I am or am not capable of, But I've had those thoughts in my head like, dude, why are you doing this? Don't do this. You're going to die if you do this. And then I still do it. And it's fine.
And when these things you're talking about, you're not like actually using examples like trying to fly.
No, they're doable things.
Okay, they're not things that you might literally kill yourself.
No, I'm not doing anything. I don't do anything extreme. I'm just
making sure. I'm not clarifying because I'm not clarifying because I'm necessarily concerned for your ability.
You shouldn't be. Yeah.
I'm doing it because I'm asking in relation to this idea of the self-worth theory is that you believe that if you can do it, you can achieve it.
Whereas, it's very practical to believe that you can do it.
Say that again?
It's very practical to believe that you can do it if you're going to try to do it, because not believing that you can do it is only going to stand in your way.
That's fair. So so you're looking at it from a very practical standpoint which is kind of opposite, I think, than what a lot of people would think about it. Is if you think, if I believe I can do it, then I can do it. A lot of people would say that's pretty radical and not like radical, dude, but like, right. But like that's a radical thought. That's pretty out there. Like, I think I'm going to climb this mountain tomorrow, but if you're overweight and are an asthmatic and generally eat nothing but fast food, and you don't climb often, you're probably not going to climb that mountain. But if you believe that you can, is the question that comes up now.
If you frame something in a way that like you have to do it, like you don't have a choice, you'll probably find a way to make it happen more than likely.
Interesting.
Or you'll be more likely to find a way. Let me phrase it that way. You'll be more likely if you frame it in a way that this isn't an option. This is what's happening next.
I think that the choice becomes easier. You're talking about something.
There's no choice.
Well, that's the thing. There is a choice. It's either you do it or you don't. And when you and if you're consistently telling yourself, because we're talking about just thoughts here, maybe some emotions as well. I'm going to do this. I'm going to climb that mountain. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to get this job, whatever it may be.
Sure.
But if you don't do it, or if you choose not to do the things that accompany actually following through, if you don't make the action occur, you're making a choice to some extent. But I think what you're saying is I think what I'm saying is it's easier or more accomplishable, even somewhat more practical, to think there's no other option. I'm going to do this. So then it becomes the option of I am going to or I'm not. But you're dedicating more time and thought towards you're going to do it, whereas
you're not dedicating any time to the thought that you won't do it.
Yeah, which is different than saying I can do this.
If you start dedicating time to the thought that you won't do it, then that's only working against you.
Agreed. I think the point I'm playing the antagonist here, or the devil's advocate, that I think there are still a chance that you're not going to be able to do it. You can't just like base things off of the belief that you're going to do it totally. I think it just becomes easier or more practical when you begin to dedicate more or not entirely your thought to I'm going to do this rather than I can't do this. Because if you're kind of caught in limbo where you're doing things behavior-wise, you're actually following through, doing what you need to do to accomplish whatever goal you're working towards, but you don't totally believe you can do it, you don't totally believe you can't do it, you don't totally know if it's worth it, you don't know if there's value in it, then there's like all these other variables coming into that you need to consider on a regular basis. Well, I want to do this, but do I think it's manageable? Do I think I can actually do it? Well, do I actually want to do the work to do it? I'll do some of the work. Some days I'll want to do it, some days I won't. Is there a formula to it? So I think when you don't focus so much, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here.
No, this is good. Yeah, that's the thought process.
That is the thought process.
Oh man, I want to give this up. Oh, I want to like that thing. Oh, some days I will want to do it. So that's the fucking. It doesn't matter if you want to or not. Some things you just have to make a priority.
And
you have to make them significant enough to make it happen.
I think you have to do it on the days that you don't like doing it, though, too.
Absolutely.
On the days that you feel like when those negative thoughts start to come in.
That's what separates, like, winners from losers.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's when you don't want to keep going, but you got to be looking out for your future self. Do you ever, like, set yourself up for something that's awesome. Like you're like, you know what? I'm really going to be stoked that I did this later.
I think I've done it before. Yeah, it's been a while.
Everyone's done that. Everyone's done that. Like even in like high school or something, like it's Friday. You could go out, but you could just get all your homework done now. And then Carl on Saturday is going to be like, fuck yeah, Carl on Friday. Dude, you fucking hooked me up, man.
Yeah.
Now I can just hang out and do whatever the fuck I want to do, you know?
I do know what you're saying, which is cool and is exciting. I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench here at you.
Hit me.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. So you made the point that if it's Friday and you could either go out or you could do your homework. All right. This is a very practical high school example.
Easy. Everyone's been there.
Sure. And Saturday comes around and you're going to be pretty amped about it. Well, what if sometimes the going out on Friday night is actually where you'll find that inspiration or creativity towards whatever project or hobby or goal you're working on. So I think this is the
value of procrastination is what you're talking about now.
Yeah,
because there is a value to it.
Yes, and not only just the value of procrastination, but like I think what I'm thinking about is maybe you go out maybe you stay in and do your homework that Friday night. You get all your work done. It's perfect. You got the chapter down, whatever it was you had to do. And Saturday you can go out and do your own thing, but it turns out that there ain't shit going on Saturday because everybody that you wanted to hang out with or everything that you want to do was going on Friday. So you missed an opportunity.
You just jerk off all night.
It's still daytime
Easy.
in the example, Carl.
Oh, it doesn't. Do you not jerk off in the daytime? Is that a thing?
Oh my
Man,
goodness.
it does not matter the time of day for me. Sorry, I'm memeing a little bit here, but yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
Friday, are you missing that opportunity to create some inspiration to like make that value of yours or the value, not only the value of like who you are, but the value of whatever task you're trying to achieve? So I'm going to keep running with the example of like making music. Would you find more creativity or inspiration because you chose to take a step back that Friday night and go do whatever it was you were going to do? Go to a concert, go hang out with friends, just go get something to eat, go for a walk outside, as compared to staying in and doing whatever homework it is. I think this is interesting for people because in high school we have to do our homework, whereas like if you went to college, if you were in a trade, or if you were working on your own like separate project or building a business, it's something you genuinely want to do. Whereas high school, like you wouldn't have to spend that time doing homework because there's value in doing your homework because you want to finish school. Whereas like, does the value in discipline still exist for you if you're trying to build a business or if you're trying to create music or find yourself inspired to do whatever it is without like that backdrop of, I have to get this done to go to school. I have to, do you know what I'm saying?
They're all variables, yeah. I mean, everything you decide to spend your time doing is a calculated risk. You could be doing something better.
Okay.
You could be doing something more valuable. You could be doing something more significant. But it's I don't know. My greater point was just that if you have the thought in your head that you're working toward setting your future self up to be in a better spot, you're going to find yourself in some better situations than being like, oh, I'll deal with that later. Oh, that's a problem for later, like pushing it off. But there is some value to procrastination. I mean, you can't rush things. You can't. If you rush something out, it might not be as good if you spend a little more time on it. But it depends on your definition of procrastination too, because procrastination could mean like spending more time to marinate the ideas and have them come to a better fruition, or I don't know if I'm using that word right, or procrastination could mean someone that doesn't even fucking finish anything ever because they just want to sit on Instagram or eBay or Pinterest all fucking night.
And they continue to tell themselves, this is what I was getting at before, so I'm glad you mentioned it. You're right. There's a difference between the people that and it's not just an either or situation. There are people that'll, say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." They probably do fully believe that they are going to accomplish whatever task it is, and then they will continue to believe that thought. But every Friday night that passes for that month, that 6 months, that year, for years,
50 years
becomes it TikTok. It becomes just that. Instead of Friday night spent doing those things, instead of Friday night continuing to be spent doing your homework like in high school, which is now transferred into making music, writing poetry, to creating your business, crunching the numbers, whatever it may be, is now filled with, daytime television or,
just mindless
tasks.
Time-wasting bullshit.
Yep, or like you said, doesn't matter what time of day it is, just jerk off all day, right? You could just instead...
I never said that, Kurt. No, here, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Yeah, let's
and
hear
all of
it.
our listeners. This is exclusive. You can only get this here.
I'm scared.
Oh my... No, this is good. This is good information. I have realized that the secret to actually getting things... No, not the secret, but just a good tip to actually doing what you think you're going to do is don't fucking tell anyone you're going to do it.
Okay. I like that.
Because I've actually heard, I think there's a little bit of science or maybe like some sort of, I've heard somebody, I don't know who the fuck it was.
I've heard a similar thing with like working out. Don't tell anybody you're working out until like after you've done it for 3 or 4 weeks.
Why do you need to tell, do you feel more significant because people know you're working out or because your body feels better and you're happier? Why the fuck do we have to tell everyone every little fucking thing we do that's positive? You know what they're doing? They're getting a fucking high. They're getting a dopamine rush from letting people know that they're, because then people congratulate you. You don't need the congratulations. You need the fucking results of the thing that you're doing to better your life. I'm going to quit smoking. Don't fucking tell anyone. I quit smoking. I didn't fucking tell anyone for like 2 or 3 weeks. And it's been like 7 years or something. And I've never smoked a cigarette since. I quit drinking alcohol for 2.5 years. I did not tell anyone until it was around New Year's because I had to let my friend know, who I drank with often, who I hadn't seen for like a week or two, that I would not most likely be drinking that night. You don't need the praise of everyone around you. That's only going to fucking hold you back because then you're going to feel like you accomplished something and you fucking haven't. Do not tell someone that you're going to clean up your apartment that night. Do not tell someone that you're going to quit smoking. Do not tell someone that you're writing a book or anything. Tell people after it's fucking done and you're working on your next fucking project that's going to blow everyone's fucking mind.
It's interesting. Okay. I agree with you. I think it makes sense, especially holding it off. I don't know if you need to wait until you finish writing the book. I think maybe
you don't necessarily have to, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe wait till you're like doing the edits, or maybe like if you've exhausted all of your own individual and internal motivations and energies. I mean, like exhausted to the point where like maybe you could almost say that
it's a done deal.
It's a done deal, or like I was gonna say it's a done deal, whereas you can't find the motivation anymore, or it's to the point where you've almost driven yourself into an unhealthy hole. And
so you're looking for a boost. You're looking for people to
I just need a couple claps. All right, thank you. I can finish. I'll write the next 3 chapters. Yeah,
please clap. My name's Jeb Bush.
So this is interesting because it brings in this other theory that I wanted to bring into the topic tonight, just because I thought it captured just in general, not just motivation of people, but it also tied in the idea of self-worth, and it's called the expectancy value theory. It's something that came out of the 1970s in the field of psychology, and one of the things that they define, without giving an actual definition to the expectancy value theory, there are 4 characteristics to it, and you're talking about the first one actually right now, which is intrinsic value. So there's intrinsic value, attainment value, utility value, and then the lastly, which is just cost. All right, it's a very practical, analytical way to kind of quantify and categorize motivation, and kind of what we're talking about right now, which is why the fuck are we doing something and why wouldn't we? Why are we going to gain value? Are we going to feel significant for this? Are we going to gain some kind of value from it? So intrinsic value is kind of what you just said. It is defined as individuals' enjoyment and experience of indulging in personally interested activities. So when you're writing a book, if you want to write a book,
Do it
But-
for you.
Do it for you. If you and not only do it for you, but if you don't like writing, but you really want the fame of being a writer, it's kind of the opposite of intrinsic value.
Right.
And it's in those times that I'm talking about when you're running out of motivation, or the times when you're talking about when people start to seek out other people's appreciation or affirmation, are the times that might be telling you either I'm going to be optimistic and semi-pessimistic. The optimistic part is that maybe you just need a little bit of push to keep you working towards your overall goal and something that really makes you happy and creates value in your life. The pessimistic view is, in regards to intrinsic value, the pessimistic view is maybe writing a book isn't what you should be doing.
Yeah.
It's a not much of a
Don't quit your day job.
it's not much of a thought piece, but
Don't quit Wendy's.
I just wanted to bring that in there.
You get a paycheck over there. Sorry.
I think this the general point I'm trying to say here with intrinsic value is that, like, if we are able to, find individual enjoyment, that's the key piece there. Individual. If you're trying to find other affirmations from people, like you were saying before, I don't think you're going to get it.
Independent.
And if you're
Enjoyment.
if you're not independently working for enjoyment or independently working for your goals or towards your happiness,
What are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? To please other people? That's fucking stupid.
what is it? What would be getting in the way? I mean, it could be like material items, which everyone hates on, but, like, let's be real, some of them are nice to have. But, like, how much value and significance are you putting on those items?
Right.
How much value and significance are you putting on things that really don't really pertain to what's making you happy? How about this one? The second value is attainment value in this theory, and it's described as the importance of executing a task on a personal level.
I like that too.
Execution, right?
So you're doing it. How is that different from the first one?
How is attainment value different from intrinsic value?
Yeah.
Unless I defined them inappropriately, I would say that intrinsic value is it's the enjoyment and experience of indulging in personally interested activities. So it's the actual process of doing them. Whereas attainment value, I think, is the importance of
After it's done.
it's the after effect, I guess.
Okay.
The execution of it. And
That's what I get fucking wrapped up in. That's me right there.
The attainment value. So that's something that you really like, I guess, value or you think is significant.
It's like I feel like I enjoy things more like after they're done.
Interesting.
I do like the journey as well. Like,
No.
that's fun, but, like, I really like if I do, like, I feel like I'm totally, like, exhausting this point, but, like, if I do create, like, a song or something, or even like a podcast, I'll fucking listen to it over and over again. I'll be like, fuck yeah, I killed it.
So that's interesting. So would you suggest that you feel pretty content with this is going to be a little bit of a personal question, but do you think that you value yourself, like, as an individual otherwise? And that's
Otherwise, what do you mean by otherwise?
outside of that particular task. Like, do you think that you have self-worth? And that's a pretty loaded question.
I think I do now, but I didn't always.
Okay.
Like, now is very different than if you would ask me, like, 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why you probably enjoy listening to your stuff after it's done. Whereas, like, me personally, I would say that, like, while I do value myself, and I tell myself that I have some self-worth, and even, like, the last, I'd say, year, maybe 2 years, I feel like far more confident in my sense of self, and, like, not just confident, but, like, loving and accepting, that I have a very hard time embracing my attainment value. Like, after I've executed a task, I feel good, but I won't look back and listen on things for the most part. Like, I did the radio show for the longest time. I think to this day, I think I did 11 2-hour radio shows, and to this day I haven't listened to any of them.
Oh, yeah.
I recorded them. I have copies of the recordings. I wanted to hear what other people were saying afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I actually listened to them. And I asked that question semi-selfishly, because I would say I agree with you. It seems like you do have some level of self-worth. Whereas, like, in this topic, or in this realm of my definition of self, or in this realm of Curtis, I would say that I don't know how much worth is there or how much I recognize.
Your self-worth?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, man.
I would say
I can empathize with that. I've definitely had no self-worth before.
I have some, but I just don't think it's as... When we're talking about intrinsic value, the enjoyment and experience of indulging in those activities,
Yeah.
fucking got it.
While
I
it's
got it.
happening.
More often than not, yeah, I feel good about that. But the importance of executing a task, I think it's important to execute it, but like it's like the feelings immediately following it. It's like that high, if you will, and I'll ride it out. Well, I'm going to just throw a number out there, 30 minutes, maybe an hour afterwards. But then other than that, it's just on to the next task, on to the boom, boom, boom. What can I do next? What do I need to do? You know, this and that.
So you like to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do too, but yeah, I do really enjoy like just knowing that I got through something. But I think that's an anxiety thing too, because I do feel anxious in the moment a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to fully enjoy what I'm doing while I'm doing it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it holds me back. It really fucks me up. It sucks.
So that's I'm just kind of burning through these, but you're talking a little bit about maybe you struggle a little bit more with the third one, which is the utility value.
Let's lay it on me.
It's defined as the perceived individual usefulness of engagement and achievement in a certain domain. So I will say it again because it's a mouthful.
Yeah, that is.
It's defined as the perceived individual usefulness, so how much we believe that we're useful.
Okay.
And it's of engagement and achievement in a certain domain. So to put that in regular terms, utility value means how much do we think we're useful in this particular...
How valuable are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How valuable am I when it comes to writing a book? How valuable am I when it comes to sharing my opinion? So this isn't just like a professional thing. This is a personal thing, and I think that's
interesting. Yeah.
And maybe is you saying that sometimes the perceived... So maybe this isn't so much with what's going on with you, but the idea of the perceived future with the anxiety sometimes gets in your way.
The anxiety just hinders me from enjoying the moment fully sometimes. Because when you're anxious while you're doing something, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're like confused as fuck the whole time. Like you're not really there. Your head's like off in like something that's really bothering you like the whole time, you know?
Yeah, you're physically there. Like people can see that you're there, but you know, there's something about people who will say like, "What's going on with you? Something's off today."
That's what I was just about to say. Some people don't even fucking notice. I must be good at hiding it or something. I've had people just be like,
"You seem fine."
Right.
You're good. He's good. What's the issue?
Like no one knows. And it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better over the last year and a half or so. Mm-hmm. But man, it was a fucking nightmare for like 4 years straight. It was crazy, exhausting. So yeah, that fucks with me in the moment. So that's probably why I'm a number 2.
You know, it's interesting that you said exhausting too, because I fucking bet, not just talking about your case, but for anybody out there listening, I would say, I know that at any point in our lives, most people have experienced what you're talking about, but maybe not for the extent of time. Mm-hmm. The perceived, I'm going to say this again, the perceived individual usefulness. How much do you view yourself being useful? I think this, like I said before, doesn't just play into like what you're doing, the hobby or task, but that comes into like, do you think that you're significant? This goes back to how I started today's conversation.
I feel like that's more of a depression-minded thing. Because I never struggled with feeling like I was significant. Uh-huh. It was that I did not enjoy anything I was doing because I was fucking tortured by just like heart palpitations and dizziness and confusion. I feel like this number 3, somebody that struggles with that is more of like a depressed person. Like, oh, why do I even matter? Does anybody even want me here? You know?
Sure.
Which I've struggled with a little bit, not as much as the anxiety. Depression hasn't really fucking taken over me, but dude, depression has to be a fucking nightmare, man.
Okay, now that I think I was confused by the perceived or the future aspect of it, whereas I think a lot more people who are depressed, I think, are focused on the past, whereas people who are anxious are focused on the future. But now that you're...
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah?
I never thought of it that way. That could definitely be true.
I still believe what I just said. I still think that's correct, but I also think what you're saying is useful to take
And
into
this is just
consideration.
my personal fucking,
Yeah, I mean,
case by case.
I don't know.
I think we're both right.
I think you're there. I think we're there. Well, I guess let's see. Let's take a look. How does this all wrap together with the final characteristic of expectancy value theory?
Okay.
It's cost is what it's called, and it's defined as the perceived negative consequences of engaging in a task.
How much is this taking out of me to accomplish?
And okay. Say that again.
How much is this taking out of me to accomplish? What am I giving up to get this? Risk versus reward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Is it time, energy, emotionally, my thoughts? Is it even going to be worthwhile at the end?
Yeah. Which, I think about that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, no, I will not participate in this activity. Fuck yourself. I don't say that.
I see what you're saying. I think there are sometimes I've even been like again, you may be making me reflect on, I think when I I was in grad school, there were times because I had such limited amounts of free time that where I would literally start a conversation with someone, or not even start, but I'd be in the middle of a conversation with someone and I'd be like, there were times where I could say it got about 30 seconds to a minute in where I was like, there will be nothing positive to come out of this interaction. These are going to be negative consequences. It's a waste of my time. I could tell.
Totally.
And to the point where I was just like, I'm going to walk away from this conversation. And I don't know if it was just me and one person at a time where I was just like, and I just turned around and walked away, right? I would work effortlessly to get out of the conversation as quickly and briefly as I could.
While still being socially acceptable in the moment. Wouldn't it be fucking awesome if you could just walk away from someone and they're just like, they could just think, oh, he doesn't care about what I'm talking about. That's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever think that.
They might be really
What if I just got up and walked out of your apartment right now?
Yeah, you just left.
With all my equipment here. But if we were having a conversation, I just walked away from you and got in my car and started driving.
I think initially I'd be like, what the fuck was that about? Is he not going to come back? And then I'd be like, you're right. I think I would have tried to reason with myself at first and I'd be like,
that'd be crazy.
He'll probably come back, and then I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Maybe he had better shit to do. Maybe he was just done with the conversation. But eventually, it would eat away and be like, I gotta hear from him.
Right.
What's
what
wrong,
happened?
Man? Are you mad at me?
Yeah. We got some homework for you guys at home. Next time you're in a conversation, you're just like, this is a waste of my fucking time. Just fucking walk away.
Absolutely.
Make that a social norm, and we could all have a lot more time
to work on shit that was more important.
Exactly. So, let everyone know where they stand by turning your back and fucking walking out. Fuck them. No.
Eventually come back, maybe, if they're not a total stranger. But yeah, that's so funny. It's kind of like the experiment with people suggest for anyone, whether it's I know it was a college example more often than not, where it would be like everyone tends to show up, even though it's a lecture, even if it's a lecture hall of 10 people, or if it's a lecture hall of 200 people. That we all tend to sit just generally in our assigned seats, even though there isn't assigned seats, is what they would say. So one of the social psych examples or little experiments you should do on your own was go sit in someone's seat. It's not their seat, but where they would normally sit, and just see them fucking freak out internally. Even other people around them be like, oh, what's going on? What are they sitting there for? Kind of same way.
Yeah. Not stir things up. Stir the social norm. Fuck social norms. They're horrible. You know how many times my cheeks get sore from pretending to smile? Fuck that shit, dude. Seriously, at work, I'll be like, and I'm like, why am I smiling? But I keep doing it. I can't fucking stop. I'm fucking conditioned, Kurt. What's the prescription?
Find more value in your life. No, I don't know.
Do you deal with that shit? Fake smiles? I hate this shit. It's from my retail background.
I mean, it's probably from your retail background. I can relate. I was in retail for almost 8 years.
You got to smile. Dude, did people ever shit talk you right in your face?
At my job?
Yeah.
Not generally, no.
No, not generally, but I mean, did you have some fuckers come in every once in a while?
I don't think they talked shit directly. Like, they didn't attack my sense of value or my, like, me personally, but they would definitely get pissed off about it. And maybe there was a couple times, but I don't know. Honestly, I let them go. They're out of my memory almost entirely.
Oh man, no, not me. I used to work at Goodwill, and one time I came out because I was kind of, honestly, you wouldn't think it would be me that would do this, but when I had to shoo when someone needed to be shooed away, they would call on me because I just didn't give a fuck at that job because I was just so mad. And I walked out and I was trying to tell this guy, like, no, we can't take any of that. And he's like, you're an idiot. I've dealt with you before. I'm not talking to you. And I was like walked in the back, like shaking, like, you know, like just fucking ready to.
So snap.
Yeah, man,
Goodness.
dude. Retail people, come on, give them a break.
A genuine response to that as a baby counselor, a newer counselor, would be like, if you find yourself smiling so excessively, I mean, I'm gonna try to loosely apply something here. Have you ever heard of the spotlight effect?
No.
It's this like phenomenon that talks about how more often than not we believe like the spotlight is on us and people are generally focused on like every action and like if we breathe a certain way, kind of shit like that. I could say you could apply that there, whereas like you feel like you have to smile, or okay, so this is another example of anxiety. You're falling within yourself, I would say, and you're focusing too much on whether or not you should be smiling or not. If it's become a habit on its own, now it's just become, it's like almost...
It's a reflex now.
It is like a reflex, which doesn't mean it can't be like that can't be
unlearned. Yeah,
unlearned. It's just going to take, you know, if you wore a fake smile for 3 years, it might take a year or so.
I've worn a fake smile for way fucking longer than that.
It might take years, unfortunately, to break that.
Yeah,
habit,
totally will.
But yeah, that's kind of part of what it is. I think you're putting.
But what the fuck do you do for the alternative? Do you just say like, I'm not enjoying this conversation? Can we fucking wrap this up or what?
It'd start even smaller than that. Just like if you find yourself fake smiling, acknowledge it, be aware of it, and maybe think about whatever thoughts that just crossed your mind. Then just the process of actually removing the smile from your face, to not like, you know, resting bitch face, but to just remove,
which I do suffer from.
But to just remove the smile and then just feel that out for like 10, 15 seconds. And
what do you do? Like, people just need to finish their thoughts in your fucking face, and
doesn't mean you have to smile at them though.
I'm totally one of these cost people. The more we fucking talk about this, I am totally one of these. And I have a lot of free time, but man, I don't feel like I do. Holy shit. You know what I've been trying to do lately though? For this cost thing, this might help some people.
Okay.
It's like an opportunity to practice like some mindfulness stuff, maybe. You know, whenever I start to feel rushed.
Okay.
Like, because when I walk out of work, I'm like fucking power walking it to my car. I'm
Gotta
like,
get
I'm gonna
home.
go home and I'm gonna do this and then this and then this and I'm trying to like fucking like maximize efficiency for my day.
Which is the grind. Yeah, everybody
Right,
knows
and
that.
I live like a mile from where I work, so like it's and I'm dead serious. I live
know.
like that close, and I try to like find those moments and observe them, and then just make myself slow down. Make myself walk a little slower to my car.
Because it's going to be hard.
Oh yeah. When you're fucking in go mode, you're like, oh, I just got off work. I can't wait to blank, 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 blank. Whatever the fuck you want to do, just make myself fucking slow down. Because that's where a lot of anxiety comes from, is feeling like I don't have enough time. I need to do all this shit right fucking now.
And it can
don't.
And it can even be the opposite for some people. Some people are like, I don't have enough time to get this done. Like, you don't have enough time to take one more minute to walk to your car and slow down.
Right. No one's going to die.
Yeah, like,
And if they
for
do,
real.
it's not your fault.
You're making mountains out of molehills at that point.
You're raising your blood pressure by doing that. You are fucking, your brain is fucked up from you doing
You're
that.
slowly killing yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's not a fucking habit that you want to build. Like, feeling like, I don't have enough time to do all this. Like, you think you're going to be able to concentrate when you're fucking... Dude, you just ran a mile inside your mind from here to your fucking house. Like, you're exhausted. You're not going to be able to fucking think straight. Fucking value your health. Value your fucking mental health, man.
Okay.
Your peace of mind. That's what I'm getting at here, to tie it back in a little bit.
I think it's great.
It's significant. It's gonna yield better results for everything that you want to rush home and do.
So cost is a big thing for you. It's not a person thing, but you're saying that the perceived negative consequences of engaging in anything is a big part of what can get in the way with a lot of people who are anxious. Even some people who are I don't know about depressed because we're not making this focused on like mental illness or anything like that, but just in general, when it comes to people creating value in their life and significance, it sounds like sometimes they're giving more significance to the things that
To
are
pointless shit.
actually a value of them to them.
Couple minutes to relax while you're walking to your car from your fucking job. Relax a little bit.
We could keep talking about this actually, because I was going to say I read an interesting article the other day about how people with chronic pain actually, and this was an empirically researched article, discussion, whatever you want to call it, extra comma quote here and there came from this and
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
It was talking about how people who have chronic pain, it's actually not the part of their body that's in pain more often than not. It's actually their muscles surrounding that area being contracted for extended periods of time, which not is it plays into the perceived aspect of it. But I just wanted to mention that because, like you said, we're making it bigger than it actually is, and ultimately costing us more. We're losing happiness.
Totally.
Or opportunities
Dude, I was just
for it.
It's weird. Right before you said that, I was just about to say, have you ever just been sitting there hanging out? You're not doing anything. You're like sitting at home or something, and you look down and your fist is just like clenched.
Yeah, I do it all the
For
time. when
no
I'm
fucking reason.
When I'm driving, I know what you're saying. And it'd be like in the right lane, nobody's on my ass, and just
You're just hanging out, and I'll look down and I'll be like, dude, my arm is sore. What the fuck? There's no blood in my fucking hand. I'm just sitting there with my fucking fist clenched for no reason. I grind my teeth a lot too.
Same.
I don't know that I'm doing that. I grind my teeth in my sleep.
Goodness.
It sucks. I don't know how to. I don't know how you fix that.
I think my mouth guard at nighttime.
Yeah, I used to wear
something
one.
like that.
I used to
Is
wear one.
The dentist's prescription.
Yeah, that's what they told me to do. But man, I wish I could just get my fucking body to just chill the fuck out.
Right.
Maybe with enough practice, making myself slow down.
I think it is the practice part. It's even like it's increasing the amount of times that you're removing that fake smile from your face. I'm not saying everything can
I'm
be...
probably grinding my teeth while I make that fake smile. I probably am.
It might be. And I want to make this clear real quick that I'm not making the claim that if you start to remove the fake smile from your face and start to show your disbelief or disappointment or frustrations with other people, that you're all of a sudden going to gain self-worth and just all of a sudden create all this value and significance, and not only like how you feel about yourself, but like all of a sudden go from I went from fake smiling while working my retail job to becoming a movie star. Like it's not going to happen like that. No, I mean I don't think so. If it is, let me know.
I'll let you guys know next week.
So I just wanted to clarify that, like, it's not just the little things. It's starting there and moving forward and recognizing that we can overcome those things.
It's a fucking step.
It is a step
in the right direction,
which ties us back to the beginning portion of it. Like, do you believe that you're able to do something? This is talking about self-worth. Like, it's your person's ability to achieve is directly related or linked to their perceptions of themselves. So if you believe that you're able to do something and you also believe that you're worth doing it, the general idea of the expectancy value theory, whether you focus on the individual characteristics or not, if you can believe that you do that, you're going to be making the right steps, not necessarily towards fame or applause or whatever you want to call it. You could be working closer to maybe admitting your thoughts to yourself and your emotions and working towards being happy.
Yeah. If you value yourself, then you will do more to take care of yourself. If you have something valuable, you want it to last, you want it to be functional, Mm-hmm. If you spend, if we even want to go to the capitalist shit, because we live in America, but like, if you spend a bunch of money on something, you don't like leave it outside in the rain after you fucking bring it home. No, you fucking put it in like a safe place. If you do not value yourself, you probably will not take as good of care of yourself.
Or other things that you have, or concerns or opinions that you have.
Yeah. Well, that's all just self-care right there, dude.
Yeah, it is.
That's important shit. It just makes every part of your life better. Like I used to push myself. Like I thought I was wasting time when I was sleeping. I swear to God. I thought I was wasting time when I was sleeping.
Okay, I could see that.
So I would try to. There was a time in high school where I used to sleep like every other day. It was crazy.
That's wild because you think like, I mean, I've definitely had that thought before. Like, well, if I just, instead of sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night, I just got 4. It's like an extra 5 hours a day. That's like an extra 35 hours a week. That's like I'm not going to keep doing the math.
Sure, but like you were not having quality extra time. I had to somehow in my dumb ass fucking head figure out that that sleep is valuable. When you sleep, then you are more productive the next day. It's not about the quantity of hours you're awake. It's about the quality of just control of your mind and focus. Like that's a self-care thing. Like I said, I did not value myself before. No self-worth. Those days are done.
So for those of you out there that are considering how, like, maybe some of this is resonating with you, or you're thinking about, like, what is it? I mean, look up the expectancy value theory if you want, but realistically, listen to the rest of this. Listen to it over again if you want to, and consider what are those times that you do feel like you're ignoring your inner self talking to you? What are those times where you feel like you're engaging in so many monotonous activities and habits of yours that maybe you've had since you were a kid, or maybe they've been like generational, like familial habits.
They're hard to notice.
They are, and sometimes they're difficult to break. Like just start working on them now.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying
just recognize them. Just recognize all your little ticks or your little your repeated, like you said, monotonous habits. All your habits. Notice your habits. Try to figure them out and ditch the bad ones.
And that's the first part of it too. Is just, I mean, recognizing it alone is change within itself. Then you can move forward from there.
Right. Be aware, motherfucker.